Hello, I'm Paddy Clark. You're watching the NME, and I'm with Sharon Van Etten. How are you, Sharon?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm not bad. So you're over here touring your amazing new album. How have you found the tour so far?
It's been really, really fun. Yeah. The audience has been responding really well, and these new songs are really exciting to sing.
Have you found it weird singing without a guitar?
I'm still learning what to do with my hands, but it helps me connect more with the audience and make more eye contact and engage with them in a different way.
Yeah. What have you been doing with your hands so far?
Sometimes they're slow moves, like this. It depends on the lighting. I just started traveling with a lighting designer.
Yeah.
So if I can feel the kind of shadows like moving across the wall as I'm moving my arms, then I use that. Some people dance, but this is about all I have. But then there's certain songs where I have cues for myself, so I know what to do, but it's more like in like Comeback Kid when I say I'm recovering. I actually have this one move where I kind of hold myself, but sometimes I point at people, which I think that's a Jersey thing, when you point at people. And I try to acknowledge every part of the room and see how many people I can make eye contact with throughout the show.
So Remind Me Tomorrow's been met with such enormous acclaim, even by your own standards. How do you deal with that psychologically, being told how fantastic and amazing you are all the time?
I wouldn't say I'm called fantastic all the time, but it's a nice thought. I feel really lucky that that album has received the praise that it has. I'm really proud of it, and especially I feel like for taking the chances that I did with the production on the record that I knew is a major shift for me, but I really felt strongly about it. But I keep really, really busy, so I haven't really had a lot of time to reflect on it. And I think by the time I get to sit down and really think about it, I'll probably allow myself the time to cry and appreciate it in privacy.
Did you see it as a risky album then to make, given it's such a departure from the way you used to sound?
I was nervous that I would put off the fans that I've built up over the years because I started solo, and it wasn't until my third record that I toured with a band, really. And if you only know me from my first record that's super stark and bleak and minimal, that this record might be off-putting. So I took some chances, but it's also still very much me, so.
You say they're still Sharon Van Etten songs. What do you think makes a Sharon Van Etten song?
I love melodies. I love songs. I love slow builds. I like having 3 parts in every song. Even if it's still verse, chorus, I like there to be like weird turnarounds and cyclic kinds of chord progressions that even though it's only 3 chords, you're holding on one and it turns it around. And so I write in a very similar way. It's just the production and instrumentation that's changed, but it's still my melodies and my form.
So you've talked a lot in the campaigning for this album about how you want to become a mental health counsellor by the time you're 50. I'm wondering why you set such a specific date on that.
Well, I'm the kind of person that I need goals to work towards, but I'm also a creative person, and I know that I have multiple passions, and so if I set realistic goals for myself, I can do a little bit of everything while still not losing sight of one of the things that I want to pursue. You know, I'll go easy on myself. I think 12 more years of finishing college is pretty fair with all the other things going on.
So your studies are taking a backseat to the music at the moment? For
this year. I'm hoping to go back next year after I give this record a good run, then take a breather and let the fans absorb it for a minute, and hopefully it's an investment in the long term to come back when I'm ready.
So if time were no object and you could choose a completely new passion to pursue, what would you choose?
I want to open up a wine bar that I can DJ all day long, where it's like coffee in the mornings and all my books are there, so people can read during the first half of the day. And then when no one's reading, I'll have my record collection there and I can play music. And at the end of the day, we have a projector screen and we can watch a movie at the end of the night. So it's basically like home, but then people can pay to have coffee or wine there. But it's like all my favorite wines and like the weird left of center ones that are harder to find, and just like a nice creative space to be in while basically a bar. I want to have a bar with music, books, and movies.
Yeah. What are you going to call it?
La Manager. And I'm dreaming of opening it on a beach, so that it doesn't sound pretentious, that it'll look like French, but everyone's going to call it La Manager.
So you once gave stand-up a go, right?
Once.
Yeah. Do you think you'll do it again?
No, I don't think so.
Why not?
I think I'm more excited about the writing side of it and the collaborating with other people and playing off each other's dialogue, and like that's more interesting to me. I'd like to pursue that some more. But I'm glad that I tried it because I'm a big comedy fan, but I'm not good at it.
Do you think there's a sense of humor in your music that some people overlook?
There are some lines in there for sure, and they're few and far between, and they're really dry. So, and some of what I think is funny, other people just maybe they don't overlook it. Maybe just they don't think it's funny. It's okay.
Can you give me an example?
Let's see. There's a few. So there's, and every time the sun comes up, there's a line in there where I say, people say I'm a one-hit wonder, but what happens when I have two? I wash your dishes, but I shit in your bathroom. My mom hates that line. And people usually think I'm talking about music when I say one-hit wonder, but it's really that I'm a lightweight pot smoker, and I just can't handle two hits, and when I do, I'm another person.
Have you ever started a project or a hobby that just wasn't for you, other than stand-up?
Yeah, I have. I bought this loom when I was pregnant, thinking I'm gonna loom the hell out of this blanket, so that by the time he's born, it's gonna be the biggest blanket. It's still leaning against my wall. It's like only a third done. It's like only one frame, and it's really an art installation at this point. A bag full of yarn and a third done loom. I'm a hobby girl. I like to learn how to do. The joke is my mom and I are both Pisces, and we like to learn how to do things. And if there was a major in college, I wish there was a hobby major, because we learn how to start things. We can teach you how to start a lot of things, but we don't know how to finish them. So my goal is to learn how to finish something one day.
So last year, NME asked you whether the OA had brought you new fans or a new type of fan base. Back then, you said it was sort of too early to tell. Can you tell yet?
You know, the closest thing that I've noticed as a change was that I went to this gym in my neighborhood. The guy was always nice to me in there, but he, one day he came in, he's like, "You're in the OA. I had no idea." And I was like, "Yeah, I know." And I'm like, he's like, "Why didn't you tell me?" I was like, I don't know why I didn't tell you. I'm sorry. I just come in here to go on the elliptical and then disappear, and I was like, he's like, "Well, have you acted in anything else?" I'm like, "No." I'm like, "I'm normally a musician." He's like, "Oh, you do music too?" And I feel like in that regard, it's like, this is a place that I go to every day, and they're more of a TV and film person than a music person, and so I feel like that's opened up some new doorways for me, and I've gotten recognized a handful of times in my neighborhood, which is rare. So in that way, it's different. But I feel like there are a lot of my fans already that watched the OA and didn't know I was in it. They're like, "I thought that song sounded familiar." And I'm like, "That looks a whole lot like Sharon Van Etten."
How did you find settling into the TV industry? What were the main challenges?
It's a lot less predictable than music, because with music, it's it's my project, and I plan everything, and we like to plan things out pretty far in advance, so I pretty much know what I'm doing until January this year. Whereas, you know, they have like goals, and but you don't know when it's going to be released. You don't, you know, they can say, all right, we're going to pick you up at 8 a.m., but you don't know when you're actually going to be filming, and you're kind of on call, and there's so many more people involved. So like you show up on set and it's like 200 people working towards this one goal to make it happen, but there's so many variables between the lighting and the cameras and the angles and the reflections, and you know, you have to find the right angle to make the scene work sometimes, and then you have so many moving parts with the actors and the props and the smaller spaces in some of these scenes and some choreography, and it's just there's a lot of different departments that are trying to work together, and it's just more of it.
If you could act in any other series, what would it be?
Well, I love Glow, but I don't think I'd be a good wrestler. But it's a show that I really love, and I also really liked that show Russian Dolls that just came out. I was so floored, and just to even be an extra in the birthday party scene in the intro every time was so funny to have like the Groundhog Day reaction every time it starts, and to have that kind of awakening every episode is pretty flooring.
Is it harder when you're touring to manage your mental health?
Absolutely, but I think over the years I've learned how to surround myself with people that are sensitive to that, for me and for each other, because I think if you travel that much under those types of circumstances, that anyone's prone to being depressed or bipolar, because you're away from everyone you love, you're in a new place every day, you're not getting enough sleep, you're probably not eating right, probably drinking more than usual, and did I say not sleeping enough? I'm actually getting more sleep than I have in a long time since I've had my kids, so in that way I've had a shift there. But no, it's, you know, you're working so hard all day long, like even with a bus, it's like you wake up in the town you're supposed to be in, you have an hour or two to kill before you start loading. Loading starts around 12. By the time you're loaded in and set up and line checked, you start sound checking at like 2 or 3. And then you sound check from like 3 to 5. And then you have an hour or two to maybe have a meal. And then you come back from your meal, you get ready, you know. And lately I've been trying to like step up my game. And so I have some kind of suit that I'll wear just to get in the zone. And I'll do my vocal warm-ups. And you know, all this preparation for an hour-and-a-half performance, and it's like over in an instant. You have all this adrenaline, and you then have to pack everything up, put it back in the trailer, and then you're supposed to go to bed at midnight? No, you gotta blow off steam, and you wanna celebrate with your band, but then you also wanna have your shit together the next day to put on a great show. So, like, it's a roller coaster. It's a production. And if you don't have the right people that have the stamina and a healthy mindset, I mean, it can be a soap opera.
You've talked a lot in the past about the importance of staying positive. How easy or hard is that to do in 2019?
Depends on if I read the news that day. I've been pretty good at checking out lately, because I think my role right now is to be positive for the people around me. And I focus on the things that I can control, and listening to music. And I have my solfeggio harmonics that I put my headphones on when I need to zone out and meditate. I try to reflect more on the lives that I am changing every day, and the connection with people that I'm able to make with these songs that I keep putting out in the world, and hoping that I'm balancing out some karma somewhere. So
after your last record, you took a few years out from music. Are you planning on doing so again?
You know, I just don't have a plan. I mean, I know what I'm doing for the rest of the year. I know I want to go to school next year. I know that I'm relocating to Los Angeles by the end of the year, and trying to settle into a new home. So I feel like I have to leave room for error in there somewhere, and for experimentation and trying new things, because I think sometimes if you plan too much, then it sets you up for disappointment. But again, just having those long-term goals in there as you approach things, so that you don't let yourself down, you don't let other people down, but you do have these points that you want to reach. I think it's realistic.
Sharon Van Etten, thank you very much for speaking to us.
Thanks for wanting to talk to me.
Cheers.